Thank you for staying with us. With the advancement of technology, opportunities to hone processes, serve clients better, and increase the pace of work has presented itself. The practice of law is no exception to this, particularly during the COVID-19 era, where alternative methods of practicing law have proven invaluable. We will be discussing the use of technology in the delivery of legal services. And joining me in the studio is the convener at the Business of Law Conference, Olubusola Ajala. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Right. When we look at the theme for this year's conference, it's focusing on the use of technology in the practice of law, perhaps advancing the practice of law.
Absolutely.
Talk to us why the decision to go this direction.
So, with the COVID-19 pandemic, the lockdown, we experienced total shutdown of the courts. We couldn't really do anything until we started innovating, and the rate at which we even picked up was really, really slow, while other jurisdictions were going about their virtual hearing, e-filings and all of that. We couldn't do that. It was more of a total shutdown for the litigation lawyers. And so with that, we have seen that there's so much we can do if we're able to leverage on technology. And if at that time we had plugged into the use of technology, I'm sure the backlog of cases we had and all the various issues that sprung up from that lockdown would not have happened. And aside from the practice of law itself also, then there's also the business of law that technology can also help us in advancing and in also helping us to make profits from our respective law practices. And so it's on that premise we felt that the time is ripe for us to have the conversations, difficult conversations as it may be.
Why is it difficult?
Because as it is, not everyone or not every lawyer is tapping or is seeing it from that perspective.
Interesting.
That we need to get on board technology.
And I'm wondering why.
Wow. So I really cannot speak for them,
right.
But I think it is this attitude of being comfortable with the familiar, being in your comfort zone and not willing to try new things or to move out and experience, new things, make changes. You're comfortable with where you are and you feel that's the best way
to go.
To go, yes. So because I think people are afraid of, changes or making a switch. So, but the conversation we want to have is to help people become comfortable, saying, it's fine, it's okay. Technology is not here to take away our jobs, but technology is here to help us do better and to make our job more efficient and make us more productive.
Because I was interested, or I was happy you brought the perspective in, because one of the questions I was going to ask was the fact that during that period, there were attempts to make some changes, have virtual hearings and all of that. Some persons did not, come up, they did not appear. And there were so many issues at the time.
True.
In fact, a lot of people have called for judicial reforms, and this is part of the whole process of reforms.
Absolutely.
But it didn't sit right with a lot of persons. And that begs the question if Nigeria as a country is really ripe for some changes that we see with regards to technological advancement, because a lot of people are not seemingly willing to embrace it.
I think whether it is ripe or not, that's the situation we have upon us. And so the earlier we embrace and begin to bring ourselves up to date with the rudiments of technology, how to go about it, how to get comfortable with it, what exactly to do. So it's not a question of whether we are ready or whether the time is ripe. This is what we have now, and this is what we have to make do with it. And so it behoves of every individual, particularly professionals, to begin to bring themselves up to date with the use of technology, understand it, know how to interact with it at whatever level. Having the basic understanding is important at this point in time. It's very, very important, and we can't do without it.
As important as this is to have this conversation, after the conversation, what next? You can't just talk to me and expect me to change.
Absolutely.
Right. You can't just talk to me and expect me to be suddenly comfortable with something. You have to help me through the process of knowing how to get comfortable with what you want me to do.
Yeah.
So perhaps talk to us from that window, or from that perspective. What happens next after the conference?
Okay, so usually the conference for us is a conversation starter, where we begin the conversation, and then over time, in the course of the year, we have several workshops and trainings. So for instance, one of the things we have done apart from the conference is we are having partnership with Microsoft, because we see that one of the issues we have, particularly as lawyers, for our legal operations is automation, the tools we can leverage on, the various digital tools we can leverage on to automate all our legal operations. So we have having a partnership with Microsoft to help us train lawyers. So they're going to be post-conference masterclasses where lawyers will be trained on basic digital tools they need to understand and use in their day-to-day law practice. And then beyond that also, we have regular trainings that we do at our academy where we train lawyers on. So most times what we do is we ask, what's the need? So we take a survey to know what's the need at this point in time. What can you do? And then what problem are you facing, and how can we help? So based on that need, we provide solution. And then beyond that also, we have a community where we have daily interactions with people and then try to train them in different areas of need.
Have you engaged the MBA with this matter of ensuring we move advanced technologically with regards to
the MBA is very much aware, and I know that there have been several discussions, there have been several conversations around it, and I know that a particular section of the MBA SBL, they have a committee on technology. But the good thing is that at our conference this year, the MBA president is the keynote speaker.
Interesting.
Yes, so I'm sure after that conference, we will still issue communique, and we'll see how we can engage him more, and and also engage the incoming president, because this is an election year, and so he's going to be leaving. But I mean, within the little time he has, I'm sure we'll be able to do one or two things with him.
Now, let's look at certain aspects of when we adopt technology with regards to law, how it would advance, law, productivity, how it will ensure efficiency. Talk to us about that.
For instance, like I said, one of the conversations I'm looking forward to at the conference is how I can move a client from the process of inquiry to converting the clients, move a prospect from that process of inquiry to converting into a client. And most times the challenge we have is when a client comes, when a prospect comes for inquiry, because our processes are not automated, and because there's this lack of organization in our work, it's usually very difficult to convert that prospect to clients, because sometimes you do not follow up, you drop the ball somewhere. But where the process is automated, and you can just move the client from one level to the other, that client feels valued, the client feels gets some comfort, the client feels there's value placed on me as a client to be, and it encourages the clients to just go in with the lawyer. So those are one of the things we are looking at to cover at the conference,
as well as helping to optimize and boost legal operations.
Absolutely, that's very important, because most times our processes are not optimized. A lot of us still do not know how to use some basic tools, and it's unfortunate, because again, I also know and understand that to an extent it is really not our fault, because our training does not afford us this opportunity.
Very good.
Right. So even the aspects of knowing, practicing your profession as a business professional, we're not taught, right? And that is where we come in as a body to say, these are the gaps, these are the things you need to know, these are the things you need to understand, this is where you need to get trained. But where it becomes our fault is where we do not submit ourselves for training, professional development, personal development. And that is what we really do hammer on at SLB. That's it's okay for you not to know, but it is not okay for you not to take steps in ensuring you get knowledge in that area where there is a gap.
And so what your organization does is to bridge that gap.
Absolutely.
But then again, there might be those who might be saying, okay, why don't we take this down to institutions so that people can get much more comfortable as they go through the ranks? They learn through that, this is already part of the curriculum, and then they are comfortable and wouldn't be looking at, because some persons are not even aware
Absolutely.
of organizations like yours.
Yes. Well, that's very true. And, for me as a person, it's also one of my vision, one of my desires to see how we can overhaul the curriculum of our legal education. But again, we know the process of the country before we get there.
Right.
Yes. So before we get there, what can be done? That's what we are doing now, because it will take a while. The review, a whole lot of things before you change the curriculum, and you begin to have
your
committees and
colleagues. You have to convince them.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, let's move to the next matter, which has to do with the role of technology in reversing brain drain, talent wars, mental health, welfare of lawyers. Let's talk about that. Break it down.
When I was announcing this particular session, I described it as a Gbasgbos session. Because a lot of things would go down, and we have seen that with the lockdown, a lot of people had issues, mental issues. And unfortunately, in this part of the world, we don't even identify with what is called mental health. Or we don't even know. We shy, exactly. Or we don't even know, right? So it's conversations that people are not willing to have. And because sometimes they don't even know that's what they are going through.
Right.
They don't know. So, and we've seen a lot of this. We've seen a lot of burnout. People have experienced burnout. People have heard of, people who have been who have had to take pay cuts just because I want my life, right? So, one of the conversation we are having around this area is to say, as much as we want lawyers to be productive and, effective with their work, you also need to cater to their mental health. You need to understand that it doesn't have to revolve all around work, right? There has to be this work-life integration such that I'm able to attend to work, and at the same time I'm able to also do all the family things, personal things and all. That's on one side. In terms of, the brain drain, talent war, last year, there was a massive resignation of lawyers from various law firms. I mean, it became a thing, like lawyers were just resigning every month, or every other month. And for us as an organization, when we did our research and survey, one of the pointers that we got was that most of the people resigning are actually not even relocating or getting on another job.
Okay.
Some of them are taking pay cuts, to say, I want an environment that is not toxic. One.
A conducive environment.
A conducive environment. And an environment that would also allow me pay attention to other things or other interests that I have. I don't want my life to revolve just around work. And so I want to have a conversation to talk to not just lawyers, law firm owners, principals, managing partners,
Very
to
important.
say, you need to consider the mental health of the people working with you, because it is only when they are mentally healthy they'll be able to produce great work, right? At the same time also, if people are saying, I don't want to come into work today, or I don't feel well, let there be room for remote work. I mean, COVID has taught us that, but we still hear some law firms saying you can't work from home because you have to, look at the files, you have to be in the library, and we have e-law reports, we have e-books now that can be leveraged on. So people are leaving because they want their life back. But then, can people actually remain and still have their life? Yes, they can remain and have their lives. And then another issue we also want to consider is
welfare.
Welfare, yes, very important. Welfare, how you're treating your people. And this is not just about, the remuneration alone. What other packages? What other things? What other attraction? Some law firms do not even remit tax. They don't. Some
really.
Some do not. Some law firms do not pay tax. Some lawyers working with some law firms, the tax is not deducted from their salary, and of course also pension is not remitted. And so you're just working, and you know that at the end of the day, the only thing you have is your salary. Should you live there in 10 years' time, there is really nothing.
Yes, to fall back to.
Exactly. So we want to have those conversations to say, I mean, it's not, you may not be able to pay so much in terms of salary, but have a structure that makes it comfortable for even the lawyer to say, my employer or my principal is not making so much, but it's fair in his treatment or in the welfare package that I have.
This is really going to be a basketball session, and I hope that you're ready for that when the time comes.
Yes, we are, and that's why we've made it a blend of both young lawyers, senior lawyers, principals, and we also have a mental expert and then an HR professional that will be speaking on that panel.
And it will give room for the young lawyers to perhaps find mentors.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the senior lawyers to have mentees.
Absolutely.
As well, if that session is created. But then I'm certain that there are people who are interested, stemming from all that you have said. You want to see how this conversation will go and want to be perhaps a part of it. So talk to us about details of the conference. Okay,
it's a hybrid conference this year. So we have a physical session, and then we'll be streaming online. So the physical session is going to hold at Muzon Center, Ajip Recital Hall at Muzon Center, opposite Safari Balikoa Square, Lagos Island.
When?
So Thursday, 17th February, 2022. So that's tomorrow, yes, 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Who are those that can be a part of it? Anybody?
Lawyers and then business owners. Lawyers at all, across all strata.
Is it free?
It's free. It's a free conference, but registration is compulsory so that it would enable us, you know, prepare for the number of people coming in.
So what do you hope to achieve at the end of the day with this conference?
For me, our fundamental goal as a company, as an organization, is to see a change in narrative within the legal industry. That we have begun to see, but we want to see more. The things I want to achieve at the end of the conference is, one, to make people comfortable with, you know, lawyers comfortable with adoption of technology. Another goal is to also see, because we have the judiciary also coming for the conference. We have, you know, the Chief Judge of Ogun State is going to be in attendance. We have the AG of Lagos State. We're also going to be discussing about how the courts can be automated, because that's also a problem, not just for litigation lawyers, but also for litigants. Ease of access to justice, administration of justice.
And acceleration of the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want us to leave that conference with a goal, a collective goal, to say this is what we are going to be implementing at this level. There's the process of e-filing, particularly in Lagos State, is going to be smooth, it's going to be automated. When we say it is e-filing, then it has to be e-filing, no manual within the process. And then at the same time also ensuring that lawyers become more comfortable with technology, begin to practice it, begin to adopt it in the day-to-day work. And then most importantly, the basketball session, to ensure that principals become they become more empathetic towards their lawyers, towards their associates, and at the same time understanding the place of mutual respect, as well as the lawyers also, the young lawyers also, knowing that there's a place of work, and you know you have to wait, you know, do the work, and at the same time get the results.
What I get from what you're saying is you're trying to make a pivotal change.
Absolutely.
With regards to law, the business of law and all of it in the country. But then it can't just be limited to Lagos State, don't you think?
That's why we are streaming. That's why there's a live stream. So, I mean, I know that there's been call for us to bring the conference over to Abuja. But I mean, the logistics of going all the way down, and considering that it's a free conference, but I mean, if we get, you know, more sponsorships, more support, we are open to that, to taking it to all parts of the country so that people can understand and begin to have this conversation. But anyways, people come also from, we have somebody coming in from Cameroon for the conference, so people coming from various places for the conference.
That's a good one, and we wish you well.
Thank you.
With this. Thank you so much, the convener, the Business of Law Conference, Olubusola Ajala. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you. Thank you.